8 years ago, my parents expelled me from their lives and cut all ties because I chose to pursue higher education instead of joining their family restaurant. Now, with my career thriving and their business crumbling due to my brother's gambling addiction, they suddenly want to reconnect. The restaurant, a small establishment passed down through 2 generations, was their pride and joy. They always spoke of it as a legacy to be handed down to the next generation. My older brother, Clark, was their golden child, constantly praised, while I was perpetually measured against him and told to work harder to match his brilliance. After high school, my parents insisted I start working full-time at the restaurant to learn its operations from the ground up. They envisioned Clark as the future owner, with me earning a minor role if I proved my worth over time. However, I had already secured a partial scholarship to a reputable college to study computer science, a field I excelled in after teaching myself coding since middle school. My parents dismissed college as a frivolous expense, claiming the restaurant would provide all I needed and accusing me of betraying the family legacy that had sustained us for decades. Clark, who had dropped out of community college after 1 term, had been working at the restaurant for 3 years and was hailed as a natural leader in managing staff and customers. I proposed a compromise, attending college while working part-time at the restaurant during breaks, but they saw this as defiance, insisting I'd be working under Clark forever if I stayed. My father grew furious, calling me ungrateful and declaring that Clark deserved the business for his loyalty while I was shirking my duties. The disputes escalated over weeks, with my parents reminding me of the financial sacrifices they'd made raising me, claiming I owed them by dedicating my life to the restaurant. Clark called me foolish, saying college would fill my head with useless theories and that I'd never earn as much as I could with the family. My then-girlfriend supported my college dreams, which my parents labeled as her corrupting influence, turning me against them. When I stood firm on attending college, my parents issued an ultimatum. If I left, I'd be dead to them. I thought they were bluffing, but after my graduation party, I found my belongings packed in boxes on their porch. My father handed me $500, stating it was the last I'd ever get from them, and declared me no longer their son, banned from their home. I stayed with my girlfriend's family that summer, then started college, juggling 2 part-time jobs to cover expenses beyond my scholarship. My parents blocked my number and ignored my messages. When I tried visiting during winter break, my father threatened to call the police through the door. Clark posted family photos on social media, dinners, holidays, trips, captioned with phrases like "cherishing time with true family" or "thankful for those who stay loyal," which felt like deliberate jabs. College was grueling with my workload, but I graduated with a computer science degree and landed a tech job. Over the years, I climbed to senior developer, then team lead, earning a substantial income, buying a house, and owning a car. 3 years ago, after a tough breakup, I met my current girlfriend, Rose, a nurse. We've lived together for a year, and she's shared photos of our travels, home, and dining experiences online. I heard through a distant relative that the restaurant was faltering because Clark's gambling addiction led him to siphon funds to cover debts, leaving my parents struggling with bills and rent. I didn't dwell on it, having built a life without them after their rejection. Last month, Rose posted photos from our Hawaii trip, tagging me and showcasing my new car and our home renovations. 2 weeks later, my parents appeared at my doorstep on a Saturday morning, knocking loudly and calling my name. Through the peephole, I saw my mother with a tray of cookies and my father holding flowers, both looking worn and older. I spoke through the door, demanding they leave, reminding them they'd disowned me 8 years ago. My mother sobbed, claiming they'd erred and wanted to mend things, saying they missed me. My father mentioned seeing my success online and wanting to celebrate it. I retorted that they couldn't erase 8 years of silence and expect reconciliation, threatening police action. They persisted, my mother pleading to see her son, claiming she'd been miserable without me, and my father admitting the restaurant's struggles, suggesting we could save it as a family. It dawned on me they weren't here for love, but for my financial success. I called the police, reporting their refusal to leave. Officers arrived, informed my parents they were trespassing, and warned of arrests if they returned uninvited. My mother begged to speak, but my father argued they had rights as parents. The officer clarified I was an adult with control over my property. I received a report number and advice to pursue a restraining order if needed. Update 1. 3 days later, Clark and his wife, Iris, whom he married during our estrangement without inviting me, showed up at my house during dinner with Rose. Through the peephole, I saw Clark, anxious, and Iris, arms crossed. I opened the door with the chain on, asking their purpose. Clark claimed he wanted to discuss our parents. I refused, citing the police incident. Iris insisted our parents were devastated, unable to eat or sleep, and couldn't fathom my cruelty. Clark said they sent him thinking I'd listen to my brother. I countered that they broke our family 8 years ago by disowning me, and I wasn't interested in fixing their financial mess. Clark accused me of selfishness, saying family helps regardless of past wrongs, and our parents were ready to admit their mistakes. Iris warned I'd regret losing them as they aged, calling our past a trivial spat. When I began closing the door, Clark pushed it, demanding I listen, claiming I owed our parents a chance to apologize. I ordered him to stop. He shouted that I thought myself superior and our parents chose him rightly because he valued family. Rose intervened, warning them to leave or face police. Clark told her to stay out of family matters. Rose declared me her family now and threatened police action. Iris tried pulling Clark away, but he kept yelling about our parents' sacrifices and the restaurant's failure due to his minor errors, urging me to help save it. I refused, stating his gambling wasn't my burden and the restaurant was his inheritance, not mine. Clark claimed our parents always intended us to run it together, and I ruined it by leaving. I pointed out their suffering stemmed from his theft, not my absence. He denied the severity of his gambling, blaming me for breaking our parents' hearts. Rose stood firm, threatening police again. Clark dared us, claiming his right to speak to me. I told him he wasn't my brother anymore. He broke down, claiming he never wanted me disowned and had tried to reconcile, but I reminded him of his taunting social media posts. Iris finally dragged him away, suggesting we talk later. Clark shouted about regret and family forgiveness as they left. Update 2. The next morning, my phone buzzed with notifications. Friends tagged me in comments on Clark's social media rant about our argument, accompanied by a video Iris secretly recorded. It showed Clark at my door, pleading for family unity and me shutting it, with Rose demanding they leave. Clark's post painted me as cruel and selfish, forgetting my roots and choosing pride over family. Iris's video caption lamented a family torn apart, framing me as unreasonable. The video's poor audio omitted context, making me look harsh. Comments from strangers condemned me, urging forgiveness. My friend Sam countered, exposing how my parents disowned me for choosing college, blocked me, and only returned when their business failed. The post went viral, sparking heated debates. Clark deleted it by afternoon, overwhelmed by criticism. He messaged me, apologizing for the escalation, claiming he only wanted to help our parents. I didn't reply, furious at their attempt to publicly shame me. Update 3. 2 days later, my mother called my work number, obtained from the company website during a meeting. She sobbed, apologizing for Clark's post, saying they were unaware and embarrassed. She claimed they'd scolded Clark for worsening things and sent him and Iris to my house in error. I told her work wasn't the place for this and to stop contacting me. She insisted they weren't after money, only wanting to rebuild our bond, having realized their mistakes through counseling. I rejected her, saying they lost parental rights when they expelled me. She pleaded for a chance to prove change, but I warned that calling my work was inappropriate and risked my job. I threatened a restraining order, citing the police report from their home visit. She promised to ensure no further contact, respecting my wishes despite their pain. I reiterated my resolve, ending the call. Shaken by her voice after 8 years, I informed my boss, who arranged call screening with HR. I alerted building security with photos of my family, barring their entry. I visited the courthouse, obtaining restraining order forms. The clerk advised a temporary order was likely, with a hearing for permanence. I held off filing, texting my mother from an unknown number, warning I'd file if contacted again. She replied, confirming they'd informed everyone to leave me alone, expressing regret and pride in me, hoping I'd reconsider someday. I didn't respond. 3 weeks later, there's been no contact or social media activity. I keep the restraining order forms ready. Rose and I are considering relocating for a fresh start, but for now, my family seems to respect my boundaries, and I hope it lasts.